And now, from Louisville, Kentucky, the horse capital of the world and sports junkies' finest, giving you wagering advice and sports analysis. It's On the Switch with your host, Gino G.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Switch Show. I'm your host, Gino G. I'm with my brother-in-law and one of my best friends, Travis T. Say what's up, man.
What's going on, guys?
We are so excited today to go over Churchill Downs Racing, Pimlico Racing on this Saturday, May the 19th, this being Preakness Day at Pimlico. They have 14 races on their card. Churchill Downs has 11 races on their card. Their feature being race 10, the Louisville Handicap, $100,000 purse, and we'll be getting to that in just a little bit. I want to say thank you to everybody who has already subscribed to us on iTunes. If you haven't, please go to iTunes, drop us a subscribe at On The Switch. You can also get at us on Instagram at On The Switch Show. You can also drop us a follow on Twitter at On The Switch 1 as well. Let's go ahead and talk about Churchill Downs Racing. Again, 12:45 post, 11 races on the card. Race 10 being the Louisville Handicap, and we'll get to that in just a second. Race 1 is a beaten $30,000 claimer going 1 mile 1/16 on the dirt. We landed on the number 4 Producer, who will get our top selection in this bunch. This one was well beaten last out in Allowance Company over the Churchill Downs turf course, which I think we can just completely throw out that day. Finds a spot back on the dirt here. The big key for me will come from the race 2 back over this track, June of last year. Beaten $50,000 claimer that day, better than this field by far today, and was only beaten 1 length, receiving an 85 speed figure that day, which will be tough to beat in this spot. Good runs on the turf gives me a good feeling about this one being on the off-going if perhaps the rain persists in Louisville. We are scheduled to get a decent amount of rain on Saturday starting around post time, so there is a chance. We did get rain yesterday. If perhaps the rain does persist, we will be most likely off the turf. And if off the turf, I do think this one will take to the off-going okay. Secondly, we looked at the number 5, Awesome Times 2. Awesome Times 2 is another horse that's 6-1 on the morning line, just like our top choice, who we like a little bit in here. This one just broke its maiden last out after being gelded. I like this angle where a horse was gelded, runs well, in this case, breaks its maiden, then usually takes an even bigger step up second time running as a gelded horse. This one will need to improve to compete with the top contenders, but at 6-1, second time gelding, I do think this one has a chance. Lastly, number 1, Cause of Action is the 5-2 morning line favorite and the one to beat. This colt has ran at the $40,000 level here over the track last out and finished an okay 4th that day, but received a 79 speed figure, which will be competitive in this spot. Consistency is the key with this one. You know what you'll get from him, and I think if perhaps runs to normalcy or towards his average, I think is going to be super tough, and that again is the 1, Cause of Action, the 5-2 morning line favorite. So in the first race here at Churchill, we like the 4 Producer, who's 6-1 on the line. We also like the number 5, Awesome Times 2, a little bit at 6-1. And lastly, the 1, Cause of Action, the 5-2 choice. That is 4-5-1 in the first. Race 2 is a $25,000 claimer going 1 mile 1/16 on the dirt. We landed on the number 2, Zulu, who we've bet before and will be our choice to beat in this spot. This one comes out of a really, really difficult open $40,000 claimer at Keeneland, in which we bet this horse. Ran fairly well that day, although beaten 9+ lengths. This one has some back class and a speed figure number that would destroy this field. This gelded son out of Bernardini is coming second off the layoff and should be primed in this spot today to take the money. Number 3, Negon's Glory. Negon's Glory needs a look here at 7-2 on the morning line. This gelding has ran a 90 or better speed figure in 4 consecutive starts, including last out in April at Oaklawn Park against a much tougher optional claimer 50,000 group than today's spot. This one will be the speed and the one the group will have to run down to get the money down the lane. I will also note with this one, trainer's 31% with all the runners that he's had over the last 365 days. He's also 33% in claiming events and 33% with horses off 31 to 60 day layoff. This one primed and ready to go, should be tough in this spot. That is the 3 Negon's Glory, 7-2 on the morning line. In race 2, $25,000 claimer, we landed on the number 2 Zulu, then the number 3 Negon's Glory. So that's 2-3 in the second. Race 3 is a beaten $16,000 claimer going 7 furlongs on the dirt. And for us, this is going to be a single, whether playing pick 4s, pick 5s, pick 3s, daily doubles, even exactas, tries, supers. I think we can use this horse on top, and that is going to be the number 7, Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee will be our early single, as we aforementioned, here Saturday on the card at Churchill Downs in race 3. This horse, who does all of his running super late, I believe gets an absolute perfect trip today. 3 out of the 7 horses in this field have run 22 or 23 flat first quarters. And if they duel and or get in a match race, the 7 is going to be the one that's going to be doing all the running down the lane. And I promise you this, he will pass all the horses and will absolutely take the money. I also like the angle of a horse who's going to be laid way back. Calvin Burrell gets on board. And I think that's important because Calvin Burrell can break, go towards the rail, do what he does, as his nickname is Calvin Bowrail. I do think, again, doing all the late running will save all the room being on the rail and will pass all the horses, and we'll get our selection as a single. That is the 7 Dr. Lee single in the third, the beaten $16,000 claimers going 7 furlongs on the dirt. Race 4 is an open $50,000 claimer going 1 mile 1/16th, also on the dirt. I landed on the number 5, Secret House. Secret House has shown speed figures over the last 3 starts this year that nobody in this field can touch, and because of that, will obviously be our top selection. Not much value at 5-2 on the morning line, which will be way worse in my opinion tomorrow. I think when they load into the gate, you could see somewhere around 6-5 or 7-5. This one has shown a nice level of consistency, which I think is important. Getting back to the distance this one prefers, Brad Cox and Sean Bridgemahan in the irons today. This combo is just extremely tough to beat, and especially in a spot like this, seems just impossible. I think this one has tactical speed where Sean can settle in and sit right off the lead, or if perhaps does a little timing while riding and he feels like he needs to go to the lead, he can also go to the lead if he wants. This one is versatile, and again, based on speed figures, including the 102 2-back at Oaklawn Park, there shouldn't be any excuses today for this one. Secondly, I took a look at the number 4, Brary. Brary's is in good form, having beaten 50K non-winners at Oaklawn Park over the good going that day. The 102 speed figure this one received is worth noting. That 102 is the highest of any horse in this contest last out. Seems to run well off freshening, trying a distance for the 5th time that this one has struggled at Lifetime, but is in good form, so I won't let that deter me from this horse in this spot. That is the 4, Brary. So in the 4th race, open $50,000 claimer. I do think it's going to be extremely difficult to beat the morning line favorite. That is the number 5, Secret House. But I will take a shot, I guess you could possibly say, with the number 4, Brary and some pick 3s, pick 4s, and pick 5s. Race 5, maiden special weight, 53,000 going 1 mile 1/8 on the turf. And I can tell you it's going to be another single for us here in the 5th. Number 1, First Spring, will be a single for us. This one going out of a really good maiden special weight, 74,000 at Keeneland while routing for the first time. He should improve tremendously, second off the layoff, second time going 2 turns, and get Saez, who will be aggressive early and often with this one. I will also note that Mr. Cassie is nearly 30% in these spots, specifically at Churchill Downs. Also, trainer-jock combo has only teamed up 11 times, but has won twice and hit the board another 5 times. I do think this one's going to be tough to beat. I do believe this one is going to be quite a short price, but I do think the number 1, First Spring, will get it done in the 5th. The maiden special weight, 53,000 going 1 mile 1/8 on the turf. Race 6, beaten $50,000 claimers going 6.5, also on the dirt. I looked at the number 6, We Need to Talk, who will get my top selection at 10-1. This one gets my nod because of the maiden breaking score. Against a decent field at Oaklawn that day, this filly stalked a toward pace and got the victory in the late strides of that event, going 6 furlongs. Sims tries 2 turns with this one and didn't get much of a response against Better. Sticks this one back to sprinting where she belongs, and if can progress off the 76 speed figure of the debut, this one fits at 10-1. For the record, I'm not a huge fan of the jockey Jack Gilligan, but this is a spot in which at 10-1, I think we'll get a fair price on this one. So I will go ahead and disregard the fact that Gilligan is on, and we'll still make this my top selection. Number 6, Santino, needs to look for Catalano. This one has ran on turf over its previous 4 starts, gets back to the dirt, which I think is what this one will prefer. I do believe this one has the back class that towers over this field from stakes that were run in late 2017. Catalano is 25% with claimers. Trainer jock combo is 15%, which is completely respectable. And the fact that this one has run against incredibly better competition will be tough in this spot. The number 1 Decant will be an interesting horse as well. A lot of people won't know what to do with this one, having speed figures that would be not only competitive but would beat this field, although those were turf efforts. In previous shows, we have gone over the fact that turf efforts usually get higher speed figures for whatever reason that may be. So although the speed figures look towering over every other horse in this field, we have to be a little bit concerned. What I can bank on, though, are these stats of Chris Hartman, that being the trainer. He's 23% distance and surface, 29% turf to dirt, 22% from routing to now sprinting, and 22% in claiming races. Combine that with a 20% win rate with McMahon aboard, could be an interesting play at 9-2 on the morning line. In race 6, beaten $50,000 claimers, I have 3 horses on here. All 3 that I think have a fairly good chance, but I really like the 10-1 shot. Number 7, We Need to Talk, followed by the 6 Santino, and then the 1 Decant. That's 7-6-1 in the 6th race, Churchill Downs on Saturday. 7th race, another beaten claimer, this one at the $30,000 level, going 1 mile, again on the dirt. A tough race really for me to kind of break down, I guess, lack of a better way to say it. I couldn't get a grasp as to what the horses, as far as speed-wise, who was going to be speed, is there lone speed, who will go to the lead. All these horses look pretty miserable when it comes to past performances. But with that being said, I did land on the number 5, Economies of Scale. Economies of Scale will get our top selection in here. This one gets the slight class relief from last out, where this one ran 2nd at the $40,000 non-winner level. 2nd off the layoff for trainer Al Stahl. Gets his man, Sean Bridgemahan, who, again, and also in previous shows, Al Stahl runners, for whatever reason it may be, do their best running when Sean Bridgemahan gets on board, and that's what we get here. Should be primed and ready to go against a weaker set of horses today. I will also note this one is 3 for 3 at Churchill and also 1 for 2 at the distance. If perhaps rain comes in, this one is 1 for 2 on the off going, so that shouldn't be any issue at all. That is, again, the number 5, Economies of Scale. Number 2, Wholehearted, will get a look in here as well at 3-1 on the morning line. This one comes out of a race the number 5, our top selection, did, and was the beaten favorite running 3rd. Gets the class drop as well. Will get very little speed to run into, so I would predict that Brian Hernandez Jr. will try and break sharply and possibly be close and or on the lead today with this one. I will note Kenny McPeak has 5 winners already this meet, 3 coming in claiming spots just like this, so that's something to note. Seems to place his horses fairly well, and this one is placed well in here. Number 9, Heaven's Creation. Heaven's Creation will be the speed in this race. As we said, with this race having very, very small amount of speed, maybe some shown by the 10, although very questionable, just from the standpoint that the 10 struggles getting out of the gate at points. So I can't necessarily bank on the 10 going to the lead. I think the 9 will, though. This one is known to break sharply and look to stalk horses throughout career. Gets a very weak spot in here, and I will imagine that aggressive rider Gabriel Saez will take this one to the front and could stomp off if perhaps no one challenges. So that is the 9 Heaven's Creation. In the 7th, beating $30,000 claimers going 1 mile on the dirt, I landed on the 5 Economies of Scale just because of the connection of Al Stahl and Sean Bridgman. Then I went with the number 2 and then the number 9. That's 5, 2, 9 in the 7th. Race 8, allowance $55,000 going 1 mile 1/8 on the turf. I really like this horse at 5-1 on the line. That's number 1 Hayworth. Hayworth, again, at 5-1 on the morning line, as we said. This one broke her maiden 2 back at Fairgrounds going a mile, then faltered last out on the yielding turf course at Keeneland, which is not that big of a surprise. There's very few horses that take to that yielding turf course well. Although this one did falter, like I said, at Keeneland, still got a 90 speed figure that day for running 4th. I think this one will take to the Churchill Downs turf course just fine as shippers from Fairgrounds. Although last I was at Keeneland, 2 back was at Fairgrounds. They do really well here at Churchill Downs. Might need a small improve to beat the favorite, but the 94 really sticks out, talking about the speed figure 2 back, and I think will be prime second off the layoff for Mark Casse. Number 3, Rayway, I think could end up being as the favorite in here when they load into the gate. This filly tried grass for the first time in her career last out off the layoff at Keeneland. Got the job done that day, beating the starter allowance $50,000 field by 2 1/4 lengths, getting a 91 speed figure for that effort. I think second time grass finds a reasonable spot in here, has tactical speed, and gets Corey Lannery, who's one of the top jocks at Churchill. All systems should be a go for this one to run super well. That is the 3 Rayway. Number 8, Deadline, is a 10-1 shot in here that I think could be interesting. This one has ran against much better than what she will face today. Having fun against the likes of Road to Victory and Monomoy Girl, who I think everybody knows who those two are. This one should relish the class drop in this spot. I will also like to note the race from November 11, 2017. Here over the Churchill Downs turf course, this filly beat maiden special weight 60,000 field and received a 94 speed figure that day. Horse gets back onto a course in which has a win over, gets a willing and able rider in Besetska. This one at a price could pull an absolute shocker for pick 4s, pick 5 tickets. In the 8th race at Churchill Downs, the allowance $55,000 going 1 mile 1/8 on the turf. I landed on the number 1 Hayworth at 5-1. I followed it with the 3 Rayway and then the 8 Deadline. 1, 3, 8 in the 8th. Race 9, allowance optional claimer $80,000 going 1 mile 1/16 on the dirt. And it is going to be single time for the late pick 4s and pick 5s. Single time here in race 9. It's going to be the number 2, Jess I Am, who will get our selection. And again, our single on all of our pick 4 and pick 5 tickets. This one just beat this level last out in the slop at Keeneland. We'll also note that because today, most likely going to be an off track. So I give that one another plus. 2 races before that, this one posted a 103 plus speed figure that will be really tough in this spot if this one can repeat. I will note that this one has done absolutely nothing wrong with Sean Bridgman in the irons. Jess I Am is trying Churchill Downs for the first time, but this one has ran over so many tracks and has constantly had results wherever she has gone. There will be so many ways to go in here, but Brad Cox, Sean Bridgman, which win at a 25% clip over 125 runners. Zayat, the owners, which I think is something to mention just because, they probably expected a lot out of this one. Well spotted and speed figures are more than good enough to beat this field. It is going to be a single for me in race 9. That is the number 2, Jess I Am. Race 10 here at Churchill Downs is the feature, the Louisville Handicap, $100,000 purse going 1 mile 1/2 on the turf. I landed on the number 3, Vittoria Ken, the Brazilian. This one will get my top selection in this spot, and I'll tell you why. This one comes over from Dubai, takes 8 months off before running first out over this track and definitely needed that race. With that being said, for whatever reason, McPeak went to dirt and horse didn't respond whatsoever. Now back to the turf. This one tried to go at Keeneland 2 back, but was taken off and ran evenly in the slop that day. Then the big key, the one that I'm going to key on, and the reason why I like this horse, last out, gets back on the surface, talking about the grass that this one needs to be on, runs a really good third by just a length, will improve second off the layoff, third time over the surface. This will get my top selection. That is the 3 Vittori Ken, the Brazilian. Another Brazilian, number 7, Summon Time, is another McPeak runner who won this race a year ago and is in good form again. Having run against much stiffer competition than what this one will face here, this runner will be the one to beat, having posted 100 plus speed figures in all but one race lifetime in the States. The 112 in last year's race will be extremely tough to dismiss, and something that I'll probably use as a reason or a crutch as to why this one's going to be tough. This one likes the track, likes the distance, and will be the horse to beat. That is the number 7, Summon Time. Number 8, Harlan Strong, the Argentine, for us will give us the McPeak Sweep. This one comes in having progressed over her past 5 starts from 91 to a 106 speed figure last out, that 106 being, like I said, last out over the Keeneland turf course against Allowance Company, in which she beat that day. That day, she did a really easy lead, which I don't think will be the case today, although I think this one has enough tactical speed that she can rate and pounce when they turn for home. I will also note outside runners and wide runners have not fared well this meet at Churchill Downs over the turf course, and that is something to note, as this one it will be breaking from the 8 hole. That is number 8, Harlan Strong, the Argentine. So in the Louisville Handicap, the $100,000 purse, going 1 mile, 1/2 on the turf, race 10, I landed on the number 3, Vittori Ken, then the 7, then the 8. That is 3, 7, 8 in the feature, the 10th at Churchill Downs. Lastly, race 11, a $10,000 maiden clamor going 7 furlongs on the dirt. Again, these are bottom level maiden claimers. These are sometimes the toughest races to understand because everybody seems to be dropping. No one seems to be running well. So we kind of have to be careful. And if perhaps playing pick 4, pick 5 tickets, you probably want to go deep in this leg. I did land on the number 4, Blitzig. Blitzig is going to be a connection play, along with the fact that this one is dropping into the bottom of the barrel here. Again, a Kenny McPeak runner, gets Corey Lannery up in the irons, ran a respectable 4th at Keeneland last out after completely blowing the brake. Today gets an extremely bleak field to run against. Lannery can get this one to break well, or at least solidly, and could possibly break on top, and will be the toughest horse to beat in this race. At 8-1, I took a look at number 5, Aggravator. Aggravator, this one comes out of a race where he was just completely overmatched. If you don't know, once you claim a horse, you have to run it back for 50% more than the claiming price if you want to run that one back before 4 weeks. So that's what they did not run any well. Now is back at a spot that they will be competitive, and I'll tell you this, that 78 speed figure 2 back will be tough in this spot. I will key that. I think as a horse at 8-1 that you probably need to use in, like I said, late pick 4 and pick 5 tickets. Very, very tough. Should be at the right level. Second over the track, second off the layoff. I would watch out for this one. That is the number 5, Aggravator, 8-1 on the line. Lastly, number 7, Red Hot Rio for Eddie Keneally and Declan Cannon. This one in his only start ran evenly nearly 16 months ago. Since then, a large and nice work tab, including a couple of works over the Churchill Downs track, makes this one enticing for me. Huge class drop to the bottom feeders, respectable 27% off a 180-day layoff for Keneally, and a rider in Cannon who can be aggressive from go. I will be in on this one. That is the number 7, Red Hot Rio, who I think can break towards the lead and give us another chance here. So in the last, Churchill Downs, Preakness Day, Saturday, May the 19th, race 11, $10,000 maiden claimers going 7 furlongs on the dirt. I landed on the 4 as our top selection, the number 5 in second, and the 7 in third. I will tell you all, unfortunately, I didn't do any wagers I'm not going to give you all any specific wagers when it comes to Churchill Downs. What's important today is the Preakness Pimlico, the 14 race card, and we'll have another show based on that. It'll be a 2-part series. The first one will be races 1 through 7. The second one being races 8 through 14, which will include race 13, the Preakness Stakes featuring Kentucky Derby winner Justify. So no bets from Churchill Downs. If perhaps you're on the email route, I might throw in something on there. Otherwise, get at me, send me an email, get at us on Twitter, send us a message on our email at ontheswitchshow@gmail.com. You can email myself personally at gfgreeshaber, that's GRIESHAB as in boy, ER @gmail. Also, my Twitter is at DavilleKY32, that's DAVILLEKY32. You can also send a message or a DM to my boy Travis Toole, which is at Travis, the number 2L. If you haven't already, I know I mentioned it before, please drop us a follow. Subscribe to us on iTunes at On The Switch. On Twitter, we are at On The Switch 1. So if you want to send us a message on there, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Stay with us as we'll have, again, a 2-part series featuring the Preakness Stakes from Pimlico. I wish you all the best. Again, any questions, please get at us.